Let's go.
You're listening to Making Data Simple, where we make the world of data effortless, relevant, and yes, even fun.
So this brings me to the part where there's a question I'm asking people and a lot now, and I'm going to ask you it. It's probably an unfair question, but I think it's interesting to kind of talk to the state of AI. Would you short Nvidia now?
I have no idea. I'm not an
That's
expert.
a good answer.
I know all our GPUs are them. Like, I know that everybody I know is built on some top of like cloud infrastructure. That's them. All these companies are trying to build chips. My girlfriend used to work in the chip manufacturing space, and it's like, I mean, we can't even build chips in the US, really. Like, it's crazy that Nvidia is doing like what it is. I mean, like Taiwan is like the only place that can really like physically actually make the chips, right? Like TMI in Arizona is like trying to do this. They're having like, we just don't even have the expertise, like like the challenge with it is that all these engineers, they went and they got these degrees in these different spaces. Like she has a material science degree and then switched into software engineering because it pays, 2x what her previous like role was.
Sure.
And all these engineers are basically ending up in that space. Like if they're electrical, et cetera, they're bouncing over. So I don't have a solid answer. All I know is that every company is basically building on top of the
I got it. And I would say, look, the funny thing is, if you ask me that, because the natural thing, most people turn it right back on me. I would not short them immediately. However, probably 10 months from now, I probably, if my guess, I can't predict the future any more than anybody else, but I think that's a good time to do it. The reason is because of some of the things you mentioned. And look, maybe I'll ask the question this way. Do you agree with some of this? But I think the foundational models are going to get smaller, more purpose-driven, so that they're answering specific questions. That makes you be more accurate, kind of what you were talking about earlier, like Mistral. I played around with Mistral. I downloaded it on my laptop and works, the inferencing is off my CPU and it works pretty freaking good. But it answers all the questions I've been asking and it's using a CPU. So it's going to be more towards CPU, not to mention, you mentioned everybody else is trying to get in the space because they don't want to lose out on all these GPUs. So I can't think, but it's inevitable that the hype cycle is ultimately going to end on the GPU.
I think the only pushback I have on that is that they're still training they're still training the model on GPUs, right? Like the amount of compute that's necessary to even make like a small Mistral model that can run on, an iPhone, right? Sure. Like just using CPU, like that's still going to be necessary. And maybe it's in small bursts, right? It's like not. I mean, right now we use like a cluster of GPUs in the cloud and we're doing all this there, right? So maybe over time it's just, it goes back to CPU. But I still think that initial training is going to have to happen there, just from our understanding of how basically you train these foundational models. It's just like CPU would you just couldn't physically do it, right? So I don't know. I'm
I think
sure.
CPU. Don't get me wrong. GPUs aren't going to go away. I'm not suggesting that in any stretch. Yeah. I mean, like Nvidia is up like 500% or 5,000% in the last 5 years. I mean that. I don't see how that is sustainable.
No, I think that's probably hype cycle. I'm focusing on, I'm doing investing is just value investing. And so, what's basically like their revenues or their profits and then timesing by that. I think they're way above that. I think people are gambling that this is here to stay and that they have 80% of the market share. And for the next 5 years, they're going to continue to have that.
That's right.
But I don't know. So.
Yeah, I don't know. If we all knew we'd be super rich, value investor, by the way, I try to follow Buffett, but so he's got the magic. I don't think he has any emotion whatsoever. It doesn't matter to him. He's just like, he can buy when everybody else is getting out and he can get out when everybody else is going all in. It's amazing.
For sure. So all I know is that like as a founder on the front lines building one of these things, like we can't figure out how to do it with CPUs. So
no, I understood. Yeah, and I don't think you will for some time.
For sure.
I think building the models, you're always going to have, even though I think they'll get smaller, there'll be a certain percentage GPU. But right now, you can't even get the GPUs because everybody's wanting them. I just think something's got to change ultimately, or more people are going to get into the business. But having said that, when you break up all this content, kind of a different question, a little bit away from AI.
Yeah.
What do you find works the best? Now, I guess working the best means getting new clients, driving more MRR. What platform do you see really is the fastest means to scale a business?
Yeah, I mean, any place that has distribution built into its like existence is going to be the place that makes the most. So like in the beginning stages of a company, I always suggest to like anybody is like you always focus on transactional type marketing, right? So like cold email, DMs, like these like paid ads, right? That's going to be the fastest way to get initial customers. So I think about it as a financial portfolio. So it's like in the beginning, like when you're young, like you invest majority of your resources, like 80% of them go into things that are going to like you're going to feel the effects of tomorrow. And in contrast, you do 20% into these long-term investments, like building out, like a YouTube channel or an Instagram or, whatever other channels your target customers are on. I think for a lot of companies, like the thing that I see them doing, from the outside looking in, doing incorrectly is they try to be everywhere rather than just where their customers are. Biggest, like the starting point should be like, hey, where do my customers spend time online? Like educating themselves. How do I create content on a weekly or bi-weekly or monthly basis that I can distribute to them on those channels that they're spending time, whether that be, again, YouTube or that's email or whatever that is? How do I make this a repeatable process? And then, again, how do I distribute that to them? Like over for the next 5 years, we're going to do this marketing, right? And it's a grind. Like content marketing is a grind. It's one of the most impactful things that we can do to build brand. But in reality, like that's
great. A great answer. But if I was to say, I only will let you, I would never do this, but I don't think anybody would ever do this, but you can only go to one platform with my content. What would you say? All right, we got to do this. Would it be YouTube? Would it be Facebook? Would it be
any place that has For You page content? So TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. The reason for that,
you think it's what I heard you saying that, and well, go ahead. You were about to say the reason for that. It's short.
Even LinkedIn now is starting to do For You page content. Like I don't know, like this is just
what do you mean by For You?
Describe For You. So basically, the platform is learning what you like based off of what you consume. And then they optimize to show you content that's most likely to keep you on platform because they can sell more advertising to you, right? So every social media is basically changing to this. TikTok pioneered it, like Instagram Reels is sort of copying it, not really. YouTube Shorts is doing a pretty good job of taking over market share. LinkedIn is doing this in the professional space. But basically the idea is like it's just going to look at what you interact with and spend the most time on. And then it now is capable of understanding, oh, cool, like posts like this are similar to posts like this. So Cody is going to have an interest in this thing before we even put it in front of them. We know that this is going to capture their attention. So if I'm a company and I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's the one channel that I invest in? It's going to be of those For You page content like channels. Where is my target customer? So like if you're D2C as an example, it's probably like TikTok, right? If you're B2B, probably more LinkedIn, some YouTube, depending on if you're like B to SMB. And then Instagram is probably more D2C as well. But it's figuring out one of those places. And the reason for this is you can just start publishing content there. And if you just do it regularly, like on a daily basis, 7 a.m., a video goes out that has a hook and then some type of insight related to that my target audience would find interesting. Those channels are just going to start showing it to more people, to those people that are your target customer. Naturally, because again, if they can get them to stay on platform, that's all they're trying to accomplish. So,
why do you say that Instagram is not really for you?
They're experimenting with it. So initially, their platform wasn't built to just show you random things, right? So like the biology of their social media platform is like contradictory to TikTok. So Instagram from its origin was like, hey, like let's go follow friends and see what they're doing online. We'll start to throw in ads. Now we start to throw in more random explore feed content. Now we're just showing you like videos of people you have no idea who they are. In contrast, from the beginning, TikTok was just showing you random stuff. You could have these viral moments within a category. And it's just that biology of those two companies are different. What Instagram and really Facebook is realizing is that to keep people on platform longer, because all of these companies, including Netflix, including YouTube, all of them, they're fighting for your daily attention, right? You have 16 hours of waking time. How do they go after it? Why is YouTube investing in podcasting? Well, because it's they just have to, because it's another place that they have to like go after to have you be on platform for a longer period of time. So yeah, that's kind of my view on I can have 500 followers on a TikTok and it will, do 1.5 million views, right? That would never happen on Instagram. I could maybe get to like 5,000, but it's the order of magnitude is just way higher because the user base is more receptive to, this random video shows up in my feed. They've kind of been trained to expect that on the platform.
So in summary, what I heard was the objective is to keep you on platform with shorter but tailored or for you content.
Yes. These platforms, like, let's just follow the money, right? Like, how do they get paid? Like, they get paid if they have more more of your time on screen because they get to show you more ads. So if I'm TikTok and I know that I can get you to stay on this platform for 4 hours, doom scrolling by just showing you these types of videos, of course I'm going to show you these types of videos. The same thing for YouTube Shorts. I mean, honestly, it's like brain rot. I try to stay away from them as much as possible. Yes. I have like a Chrome extension on my like laptop where if I'm on YouTube, it hides YouTube Shorts because they just they're built to basically be. It's like candy, it's like a dopamine hit. It's a drug. So
I know it to me. I was going to ask you about that. It's just you're almost exploiting the human condition, 100%. Our weakness, but.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's inevitably going to happen. And look, I'm like you. I stay away from it as best I can. I do a really good job actually, but every so often, I'll say, all right, let me throw on Instagram, or I don't even do TikTok, but Instagram, man, 10 minutes goes by like in
nothing.
It's like 20 seconds. It's like, what the hell? I'm out of this. This is
totally
ridiculous.
It just rewires your brain to like need that in a totally different way. There's a great book. I can't remember the name of it, but it basically looks at like how this younger generation, like Gen Z, doesn't have is just having trouble with like long-term sitting down and like reading proficiency. They're seeing this decrease. I'll find it and send it over to you.
Send it to me. I'd like to read that book. I know it's a different game.
I think the positive side of all of this is that there's starting to be this pushback against it. Two things are happening, and we're seeing this like more analog stuff is starting to rise up. So like vinyl sales are peaking, CDs are suddenly back. These types of things where like people are trying to be aggressively offline, like when they're not working or not doing something, and they're like putting that time. The other thing that we're starting to see is that there's almost this, and we just see this within the content that's going most viral, more like almost storytelling content, especially on YouTube in particular, starting to have this moment. So rather than this curated, almost like Mr. Beast style, where it's every 7 seconds, it's, some type of like flash or screaming or whatever, to suck that user in. It's almost like this slower paced, like arcing. And it's just the assessment is that people are getting tired of just that constant barrage, and they're wanting more of this slow, like human piece. And so again, this is just the type of content we're seeing go viral. Like Sam Sulek is one that people are talking about a lot in public. He's like this bodybuilder, and it's just him going around like vlogging his day of him lifting, heavy weights, right? And he just talks through everything that he's doing and what he's thinking about and stuff. And if you would have told me that 4 years ago, those would be doing 3 million plus views per video, I'd be like, there's no way. But that's what it looks like. Audiences are becoming more receptive to based off of what we're seeing. So,
but you're also, like you say, you don't personally want to, get on these platforms because it's brain rot. But at the same time, when you're doing marketing, you're also telling me it works.
100%.
You got to do
that's and I think that's what we have to realize. Like, it's a tool, right? It's one of the most unbelievable business tools, one of the most unbelievable marketing tools that's ever existed. Our job as marketers is to make growth of the company happen, right? Like I personally, like, this is how I view it. Like, my role whenever I'm at, working at any company or starting a company is like, I am here to increase revenues, right? So whatever is working, I test a bunch of things, and we have limited resources, and what was the best allocation of those resources? Cool. It's, thing 3 and 4. We're going to invest all of our resources that we have available in those things and double down on that until, it stops working. And
So anything that I didn't get to that you wanted to talk to about Swell or Drafthorse?
No, I think the biggest thing, I'm really trying to hit this point home with any of these conversations I'm having. I think for a lot of people, they're overwhelmed with AI. Like, where do I start? What the like what do I do with within my business? My biggest like feedback and takeaway from what we've seen is, and from companies that have like implemented this and been successful, is like, don't try to reinvent what you're doing. Like, if, for example, say you're a real estate company and you have like a ton of paperwork, right? Like, don't change your entire team's like process. Like, go in and be like, okay, like, what's 5% of this that I can automate? Okay, what's another 10% of this that I can automate? What's another, 15% of this that I can automate?
Advice. Yeah.
And suddenly 30, whatever, 45 days, 60 days later, you have 30% of that workflow that's automated. And that's going to make a massive impact to your bottom line really quickly, rather than like, oh, I'm going to do this whole digital transformation and overhaul. Like, we've seen companies like use like that we've worked with try to do this. And in reality, like, if they just did these like bite-sized pieces, like, how do you eat an elephant, right? Like, you eat it one bite at a time. And it's that same idea. So I think that's my biggest, call out to anybody that's trying to figure out like, how do I implement this within my company, is just look at so it's kind of pairing two things. It's like, look at things that are validated and actually work and have stability. Because like our joke is like, we're going to let the software engineers go out into the woods and do the mushrooms, and then they get to come back and tell us like what they found, right? But like, we're not going to mess with anything until it's stable so we can actually use it. And then how do I just take the processes that I have currently and augment, and automate away really as much of that process that I can. And what we see for most companies is they can get it to where, 80%, 70 to 80% of what they're currently doing can be automated. And then it's just, the humans are just touching the first 10%, they're touching the last 10%, and you've just created a way more efficient company. So
I would have nothing to add. I think it's fantastic advice. You've got to, eat the elephant one bite at a time. I think everybody's trying to overdo this when they just stick with their business plan, as you mentioned, and just start out small. I'm 100%. How does Swell help with that? One more time?
Yeah. So Swell does content repurposing powered by AI. So you give it long form video, and it's going to automate those workflows that what your video editor is doing to create clips. It's handling that. What your content writer is doing to write blog posts or write your newsletter for that podcast, it's going to handle that. And we're just starting to move into like, it's just the ability to provide source text as well. So not just like media files, but or like, an MP4 or a video file, you'll be able to just provide like source text. So yeah, that's really how it fits into that equation, is the automation of those workflows, those content marketing workflows that people are already doing. So.
And how, for this podcast, what would you suggest? I'll just keep it recording for now. But
Yeah. I mean, for this show, I think the biggest opportunity that we're seeing is really in clips. Clips are just making these things blow up. YouTube is becoming huge right now. They're just pushing podcast content. As soon as you watch like one or two podcasts on YouTube, and people aren't even watching them, they're just listening to the audio in the background. They're basically just using YouTube as their like audio player for the podcast. Mm-hmm. But YouTube is quickly like eating up market share. It's going to be, it looks like it's going to be like YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify are like the three places that 90% of all consumption is going to happen. And the thing with YouTube that I see is the bigger opportunity is that there's a built-in suggestion engine, right? So like like Apple Podcasts and Spotify don't allow for any discovery of podcasts, right? Unless you like search out a keyword. But if you're on YouTube, like you'll just randomly be shown this podcast episode that was uploaded. And if it has a thumbnail and some type of, like title that's clickable, like you go into that. And so you get like new user discovery based on that. And so I'm starting to think about like views on YouTube and then looking at the consumption rates in the same way that we're seeing people like look at, or how I'm even like looking at like Apple Podcasts and downloads and Spotify and downloads and the consumption rate from those. So,
but are these voice only, or is it really intended to be video? You said they listen to voice, but is it?
Yeah, we're seeing video perform better just on the platform on YouTube in particular.
So it would be like me and you sitting here talking. They want to watch that.
They want to watch that. It's the craziest thing. It's like and it's only, I think 30% of podcasts currently have a video component to them. But it's this arbitrage that exists right now. The other thing that we're seeing be really impactful for podcasts is SMS newsletters. So you have like literally you're texting them a link to the episode as soon as it goes live. 90% open rates on these. Like some of them have like 35, 40% click-through rates. And it makes sense, right? Like where are people listening to podcasts? It's on their mobile devices. And email is just getting saturated because so much cold email is being sent, like so much spam is being sent. And text is this way that we've seen people be really receptive to this, educational material, which is podcasts. So using something like Klaviyo or whatever SMS newsletter tool to do that. And this is something that we're actually building into us like long-term. We'll probably like 2.5 months, 2 to 2.5 months out from this.
So if I team with Swell, what would that look like? How do I get started?
Yeah. I mean, it's free to sign up. We're just starting to do like a done for you service where it's just like, basically you give us the source media and then all of the outputs get produced. And like, that's handled by like an internal team. So it's like a layer of service over the top of it, almost like again, it's just done for you.
So right now, if I was to join Swell or whatever, it would be me manually doing it myself, what you're saying, but you've got a managed service offer.
Yeah, so it'll automatically write, it'll automatically make all this content for you, like clips, show notes, articles, newsletters, etc. So like out of the box, we have all these templates that are preloaded. So if you upload an episode, it's just going to like automatically generate that. But for what we see for a lot of people is they then take that, they'll make some small modifications on it, either to the template that we provide or just the output that they, the output that they finally upload, to their show notes hosting company, to their podcast hosting company as show notes, et cetera. So,
I don't know why anybody would want to look at me. I do get it because like the Kelsey, they sit there and watch them and all they're sitting there doing is talking,
crazy.
But
it's crazy. Yeah. I think it's turning into talk radio. It's like replacing that in a way. But it's like video talk radio is what we're seeing it really be. The biggest thing is that like clips, like, so you can interlink from these episodes, like on YouTube, as an example, like what we'll go do is we like take this video recording, we go find hooks from this episode and then like find basically a hook and then an insight. And we'll find like 10 of those. We'll pull those out. You can schedule those on YouTube Shorts. And then you can link back to the video where that's the source of that YouTube short. And so what it does is it creates this funnel. So like say your clip goes viral, that'll drive more traffic to the long form video because people are like, oh, how do I, like, this was interesting. How do I find more like this? And that's what we're seeing like happen in the market currently.
I got to tell you, I get a ton of people that hit me on LinkedIn, as you might imagine, saying, hey, let me scale your podcast further. Let me do this. Let me do this. And to be honest with you, I haven't entertained any of them because, again, it's just been for me and it's taken off for whatever reason, like I say, but it's I've never put that much effort.
Great questions, though. This was, again, probably one of my top 5, top 10 for sure of these because it's what we're seeing in the data is like people want to hear experts talk about a thing that they don't know about. And like that backdoor, conversation that used to be like hidden from society. Now it's in the forefront in the form of this. And that's the value that's being provided. That's what, people are hungry for. I mean, why are these medical podcasts just going absolutely bananas? Because it's like, I used to have to pay a doctor, $350 an hour to like have this conversation about my, eczema. And now I can go listen to this eczema expert who they've dedicated their whole life to eczema. And like, here's these protocols that, so I think that's what's happening. And that's, the opportunity and the power here. So it, to me, like after being on this, like it's a no brainer. Like it makes a ton of sense.
Well, thanks you for that. No, I want to that point. I just want to learn run support at IBM. I've run development at IBM. I've run data and AI development. I've done services. Now I'm in tech sales. The thing is I just want to keep learning. So I just want to ask questions. So now, I mean, we call it Make It Data Simple because I didn't want to change the branding.
Totally.
Because I feel like, I could lose everything if I change the branding. But the reality is I'm talking with everybody, coaches, different leadership, all forms of tech, AI. I mean, usually there's some tech, but not always. It depends. I might even have a medical person. That's a good idea.
I think it'd be super interesting, like what people are doing with like large like data analytics within the medical space. I mean, there's all these like, I do some consulting for a biotech company, and like just seeing what's coming out of that space right now with like large data sets. They build these AIs that can do like, basically predict how these proteins are going to fold. It's like new drug discovery that's basically happening on the back. It's insane. We're just at the, like, everybody's just interacting with like these LLMs. And like, to me, like, this is just not interesting in comparison to like this other stuff that's going on. That's like what's happening in material science. It's basically like a rejuvenation of the entire industry, because they're like, cool, we're looking for these properties. Like, how do we have, like, based off of this entire like back catalog of materials that we have, how can we make a composite that has these properties? And then the AI basically goes and figures that out for them. It's like the craziest thing. And they don't have to do like any physical work to basically come with like, here's these 5 different composites that we can now go test to see if they actually are going to work based off of these constraints that we gave it.
I almost feel like you're cheating. It's like you can do the script of this podcast, say create 1-page blog post or something, and it's boom. And then you can edit a little bit, make sure it's okay and right.
Totally.
I mean, it feels totally like cheating.
Totally.
That brings me just a couple more questions, and I'll let you go.
Yeah.
To that last point, what's your biggest, boldest prediction for the next 1 to 3 years?
Yeah, I think that there's more opportunity than ever to disrupt companies. And the foundational companies that we know are about to be just uprooted. Everybody's talking about Google, but I'm talking about everything from like social media schedulers to like any foundational software that you use to CRMs. Like there's all of these startups that are starting to build basically these things that we've been doing for forever, but from the ground up, they're building AI into these tools. And the incumbents are layering AI over the top of what they've done. And they're just not going to win. Like, we're just seeing it already. Do you think
like this is the inventor's dilemma all over again, where, if I'm an established company, it's like plus AI versus the new companies are going to be AI plus?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Like, it's just going to be a part of the fabric of their existence. And they're going to be able to outperform these larger organizations because of that. And this makes sense, right? Like, foundational technology changes always do this. Like, whether it's the internet or the smartphone or like, the telephone or whatever this is, it always changes the society in this way. We're just seeing it happen at a pace that I just don't think people are ready for. Like, and again, just to use a simple one, like a social media scheduler, like all these companies are layering on, like, they're trying to create like a new revenue stream with like AI. Like, it's like, add this AI feature to like, for $10 extra a month. And in contrast, like companies coming out of one of these incubators, and they're from the ground up, like building their technology so that AI is just built into it. So it's like, cool, like it can figure out the times that are best for scheduling. Like, it can figure out the content that your audience wants to see, like within the captions. It can find the videos, like who's going to win long-term with this. It's 100% going to be this company that's built from that. So I think that's kind of my biggest prediction, is that every company that we know right now that's trying to layer it over the top of them is not going to win. They're going to have to like go back and change the fabric of their organization to stay competitive, in my opinion.
And we agree on a lot. I'm with you on that. That's the AI or plus AI or AI plus debate. 2 more. What's true? This is a tough one. Maybe. We'll see how you do it. What is true, but no one else agrees with you on?
Man, I don't know about that.
Come on, something that you're like, this is going to happen, or this is it. And you're like,
I'll go on this. I think that I get a lot of heat for this, especially in the startup world. I think distribution is more important than product. Everybody thinks that like, oh, I have a good product and they'll come. And that to me is the biggest farce we've ever sold founders of companies. In my opinion, we see companies that are worse win all the time because they have better distribution. So in my opinion, I think that distribution is more important than the product that you build. You have to have good product, but good product is a commodity at this point. If you don't have good product, you're not even in the game. But a company that has good, like okay product and really good distribution is going to beat a company that has really good product and like mediocre distribution. And I've seen it time and time again. So,
well, even if you go back, 50 years,
totally.
I think to your point,
VHS versus whatever, it's like,
Walmart, they always told me that it was distribution and supply chain that made them as great as they were. Everything else was secondary. They could get the product in the stores faster than anybody else. And, so they did well. 100%. That's a good answer, man. See, you did it great. It's a fantastic answer. Great discussion. So where can folks reach you?
Yeah, so I'm most active on LinkedIn and Twitter, and then swellai.com. You can go there, sign up for free. We're still a super early stage company, so if you get in the customer support chat, I will probably be in there because I'm reading everything that's being said.
Fantastic.
But yeah, if you just Google my name too, Cody Schneider, it should come up. If it doesn't, I'm really bad at doing my job. So
you mean just like Google it, Cody Schneider?
Yeah.
Great. But so LinkedIn, what was the LinkedIn handle?
It's just Cody X Schneider. But again, if you Google all of them, they should come up.
Okay,
and then
all right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Last question, then, and I'll let you go. What do you do for fun outside of skiing?
More and more, I try to be as offline and as possible and like do things with my hands. I've just found that to be, I don't know. I've been reading Ogilvy a lot lately, and like he was very adamant about like you need downtime where you just do nothing. And
so do nothing like when you say is this like woodworking or?
Yeah, like I've been painting a lot more lately. Started making music again, that type of thing. Just like stuff that's more, I don't know, just not even closer in the realm of what I do. I really want to go throw clay, like get in, like do a pottery class, just something like that, right, where it's like tactile. And I cook a lot. That's like one of the kind of my base things. But I think that is I found to be very just like powerful and like connecting dots, it's like synthesizing all these different, things that I didn't think were connected. So anyways, yeah, that downtime piece, I want to do more of nothing, I think, but like schedule more.
What? That is a fantastic answer, but I'm going to follow it up with another question what's your discipline to make that happen though?
Yeah, we started scheduling in, we call it low power hour. And it's just like an hour a day that we don't do anything that uses like something that has a computer chip.
Can you watch TV or is that not low power?
No. Like we'll listen to records or read or like, we just got a typewriter, like kind of these just more analog things. And yeah, just like getting that a part of your schedule. It's just been really impactful on my end. It's just, I don't know. I don't know why. It's just, but
no, that's fantastic. You say we, is it you and your girlfriend or what?
Yeah. My girlfriend and I have started doing this. Just like it's kind of a daily time, just to shoot the breeze as well, right?
So you do that at night then, like when you get home?
Yeah. Typically, like in the like late afternoon is when we'll do it, and it can be whatever. It's like unstructured time is kind of the idea.
So what's off limits? So it's no like TV, of course.
Phones. Trying to think, like TVs, like anything that has a screen, I'm trying to stay away from. Buttons and knobs, that's cool. But like if it's connected to the internet, no, is kind of.
What's the typewriter though? Where does that come in?
I don't know. Just there's something kind of romantic about it. Really what it turned into is we want to write down like recipes that we like. And like if you go and like save it, on your phone or whatever, and like have it's like you're fighting ads and it's this whole, you get sucked into this whole other world. And like, I just want like, give me just the list of ingredients and write it out. So, I don't know, just stuff like that too. And then I'm trying to just like communicate more with family. So it's also been a part of that, of just like send more physical letters. Again, I'm just like, I work in digital all day, right?
I'm with you, man.
Like
I'm not asking these questions.
Trying to be more physical, like do more physical things at all costs. Totally is really what it's coming down to. So
I enjoy just physical things, and I do a bad job of disconnecting. I mean, just you keep going, and you can go, and you can go,
totally,
and you can go.
Totally.
But it's funny that you say that. I'm always trying to take hints and tips from others to make that work for me, because I need it. I like to woodwork. I like to do a ton of stuff. I like to play guitar.
Totally.
But then all of a sudden I look down, it's 9:00 and I haven't done any of this, and now it's time to go to bed. So it's like, it's ridiculous. By the way, the typewriter's funny. I mean, you must have went to a pawn shop and was like, they were like, "You want this?" Yes, I'll take it.
We bummed around on it. I ended up getting one, I think, off of Etsy was where we found it. So it's just like an old one, and they fixed the ribbon. So yeah,
that's awesome. Hey, Cody Schneider, thank you for being here. I greatly appreciate it, man.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for your time. It was a great day.
Hit us on almartintalksdata@gmail.com. As always, we'd love to hear from you. Rate us if you would, and we'll see you on the podcast. See you later.